just be aware. The first thing that they're going to do is they really want you to add connections. That is what they are all about. And so this is my homepage, and they've given me two ways, if you follow the arrows up and down, to continuously add connections. And then they've even gone as far as over at number 2 to give me people that I may know. Here's my first big don't when it comes to using these for business. Number 3 on that list, you probably can't read it, but it says Joanna Smith, interior designer. Joanna Smith is a college friend of mine. She's an interior designer that lives in Salem, Virginia. I am a director of sales and marketing in Cranberry Township, and my business comes within 30 miles of my facility. I don't need Joanna on my LinkedIn account. It's not about necessarily, now with Chad, he spends his time managing his accounts, and all of his are networking, so he has thousands. But I have 62, which you can barely see in the bottom corner. And that's because I'm thoughtful with who I add. And if you're just getting started, you need to be thoughtful with who you add as well. This goes back to the reputation that you want to talk about and you want to have online, is that you're providing other people with good connections as well. So if your business is an interior design, but you went to college with an interior designer, it doesn't mean that you have to add that person. And if they send you a request, so this is one that she just showed up on my list, but if she would send me a request, my quick response is, thanks for thinking of me, I use this for business, here's a link to my Facebook page. Vice versa from Facebook to LinkedIn as well. If somebody tries to add you on Facebook that is really a business and you keep them separate, which I suggest you do, that if you get that Facebook, is instead of just hitting ignore, hit send message. Thank you for considering adding me on Facebook. I keep my business and my, LinkedIn is business, Facebook is personal, and a link to your LinkedIn account to get those people onto the right network for you. So, so it's very good practice to do that. Down here at 3, you're going to see, and I can't show you the whole screen, but that's network activity. Underneath there is going to be just lists after lists after lists of what my connections are up to. Whether they've joined a group, whether they have posted a message, things like that. And in an effort for LinkedIn to become a little bit more like Facebook, they gave you this share and update category, similar to a status update. Another big don't here. Don't tell people that your dog just had puppies. Don't talk about, yeah, Chad, no puppies. Make sure that you're keeping this newsworthy, and not necessarily newsworthy directly back to you or to your organization, but just newsworthy to the people that you're connected with on your LinkedIn account. So if you see an interesting article in the Pittsburgh Business Times, what a great place to, put up a link and say, I thought this was really interesting and I want to share it with my LinkedIn network. So so right there on the homepage, you have a couple do's and don'ts. And so you have to be very careful that you're managing it correctly. There are over 35 million people on LinkedIn and growing every day. Probably since I began this discussion, that probably went to 36. Who knows? So it's really a great resource that if it's managed correctly and managed well, you're really expanding your network. Because unlike Chad, not all of us can get to 3-4 networking events a day. And so this is a really great way to supplement that. Save the drive time back and forth. Schedule it like you schedule a networking event. So if there's one that you maybe can't make it to, but you really want, you needed that day to make some connections, well, schedule it. How long would it have taken you to drive there, to spend the hour at the event and drive back? Take half that time and dedicate it to LinkedIn. And you've still created more networks, more connections, and it's given you a way. So I know somebody asked Chad, how do you manage all these events? And, there's another way. And I know Chad was trying not to steal my thunder, or I'm sure he would have mentioned a lot more about LinkedIn and Facebook and those things as well. So another great resource if you're low on resources and time. Going from there, the next area that I think is really important, and the arrow points to it at the top, is the groups section. How many people that are on LinkedIn are members of groups? Okay, so you have a good sense of what these are. For those who don't, these are ways that you can connect with people that aren't necessarily a person-to-person connection, it's a group connection. So you may all be alums of a certain university. You may all have gone through the same leadership program training. You may be, it may be industry specific. So I am a member of a lot of marketing and social media groups. So these are ways to connect even without that personal connection back to a group. You also can create your own group, which I think is great. Make sure you have time to manage it, but it's great. And another do and don't here, if you start a group, make sure that you maintain the population of that group as to the core message that you wanted to get out there. So if you're starting a group to talk about higher education, make sure that everybody that you asked to join has some affiliation to higher education. Don't allow people outside of your network to join that group because, again, I'm going to say reputation, reputation, reputation. You want to have that great reputation that you bring like-minded people together who can share ideas in this kind of environment. Once you're members of groups, and this is a group page, this is the e-marketing association network that I'm a part of. There's a lot of wonderful ways to start to interact, and here's where I'm talking about you may not be interacting with people that you know, but you're still getting really great ideas. So there's a discussion board, popular discussions, again, a place to post your own information. Across the top, and I know those are really hard to read, and even I have to get close to read them. The first panel is discussions. The next is members. If you click on that members, it automatically sorts them for you by geographic location. So even though that's a national group that I am in, the first list of people are all going to be in the Pittsburgh area. So LinkedIn is intuitive enough to say, okay, you really want probably to know the members that you can connect with the easiest. There's also, wow, that's really fuzzy, I apologize. There's jobs, there's presentations, search. Jobs is great because most groups have free job boards. So where it costs money for an organization to post a job on the regular LinkedIn, like their LinkedIn job board, within the groups, they have a free job board. So if you're job hunting, go find it, and it's industry specific. That's a really great place. Join some of those industry groups and go to their job board and see what they have to offer. And last but not least, I think LinkedIn is funny because they have lots of hidden gems that don't really jump out at you that I think are some of the best tools. This other box that I have up here says forward this group. So this is a way to enhance your network again. You forward the group to somebody who's in your LinkedIn network that you think would be interested in being in this group with you. There's a little place to fill out, it starts with pre-text that says, I think you may be interested in this group. That's great, you can leave that there, but make sure that you add a personal note to it as well. And that goes with all LinkedIn communication. Never send just what the preset is, make sure you add your own special touch to it. But here's another great way to reach out to people and further your reputation as a passing knowledge amongst these pages. The next, another hidden gem of LinkedIn, is this more section. So at the very top you have more. And when you hover over more, this drop down box comes up. And there's a wealth of knowledge there. And some of the best tools that you can use with LinkedIn. The first is the answers section. This is a place where people post questions. You can search by industry. So the number one is just what the questions are, what's trending right now in the questions and answers section. Over here on the right, number two, they have them sorted out by industry. I spend a lot of time in two of those. I'm in meeting planning and conferences, and there is a industry for that. I'm in sales and marketing, and there's an industry for that. Actually three, I take that back. Education, we're an educational facility as well. I spend time in there. I'm not always asking questions and answering, but I'm really learning from the people who are asking and answering questions. And then way down at the bottom, and it's cut off, but you can see the headline. It says, "This week's top experts." If you get a reputation of answering questions well, with great information, people can hit little buttons to say, this person does a really good job answering questions. The more people who hit those buttons, the higher you get, like a kind of a point value assigned to you, until you become an expert.